the cleanup continues following last night's major winter storm. In Toronto, more than 20 centimeters fell, making it quite a challenge getting around the city today for drivers and those using public transportation. While at Pearson Airport, many travelers were met with long lines and delays. Greg Ross takes us through the day.
Snowplows have been working around the clock. The city completed 3 passes on all of the main roads overnight and into today. Now the focus turns to the side streets, which have all been cleared at least once. But because of blowing snow, another round is needed.
We will do another round of local road plowing overnight to make sure that for Friday morning, they're going to be in a condition that are safe and passable.
The snow made it impossible for buses and streetcars to stay on schedule this morning. It may have also been the cause of this streetcar derailment at Dundas and College.
When plows run over the switches, they do tend to compact snow into them, and that can cause a malfunction.
The TTC says buses and streetcars are still not operating at full capacity.
What we would encourage is for any customer to check ttc.ca before they travel and check the live service updates. That's going to give you the latest information on where we're needing to detour certain bus routes because perhaps roads are blocked by snowbanks or where bus stops have been taken out of service.
These types of issues made it difficult for people all over the GTA to get into work on time, if at all. Pearson Airport experienced this firsthand. Staffing shortages created these long lines for travelers today.
Our government agency, CATSA, which handles security screening at the airport, is dealing with staffing issues today. That's leading to longer than normal wait times in Terminal 1 and 3 for passengers going through security.
This only added to an already busy day as airlines were forced to play catch-up after a number of delays and cancellations caused by the storm last night.
More snow than we received in all of January. So it was pretty significant. And when that happens, I mean, we were speaking yesterday, there's going to be airline delays and cancellations, and those trickled into today and through the startup this morning.
And that was Greg Ross reporting for us. While the weather caused headaches for some, for kids, few things beat a snow day at this time of year. And that's exactly what they woke up to, with schools closed across the city today. Ali Chiasson was at Riverdale Park, where kids and parents were out enjoying the day.
What Toronto lacks in ski hills, it makes up for in primo tobogganing slopes. I mean, is it really a snow day if you're not tobogganing?
Give me an idea how you're going to approach this jump here.
Full speed, on my stomach, and then it's going to fly off.
Your preferred toboggan, sir?
This one or that one, because that one, if you fall down it, then you don't get hurt, and this one because you go really fast. So it's just orange, it's really fast. So you can really hit the jump fast and go high.
It's like basically like a skateboard, but with like one big ski under it. It's like a snowboard that you don't need bindings for, yeah.
So not only do they have the day off because school was canceled, Friday is a PA day, Monday is family day, so it's an extra long weekend with fresh powder.
I woke up and did a big pile of snow. I was like, what?
Best snow day ever.
Yeah.
How about this heroic trek?
Good exercise too, huh?
Yeah, good exercise. I'm still trying to catch my breath. So
it's a pretty good day for parents on the hill too.
Best time of my life, I get to enjoy my kids.
Do you have a good bounce off it too?
Yeah, it goes so high. It catches the air better than like the other ones, so you can go higher.
This might be the one that I test out if I'm brave enough later.
This just in, she was not brave enough later.
Now, I know well enough not to be that reporter on the toboggan hill.
Ruben is in the lead, and here comes Al. And this...
I would also never be able to nail this dismount like the pro.
That was a bad idea.
So let's leave it to the experts, shall we? All right, move, move, move!
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
The City of Toronto has sent a cease and desist letter to a nonprofit organization that builds micro shelters for the unhoused. Tiny, Tiny Homes has given away 5 units so far, all located at St. James Park, providing those in need with a safe place to call home and stay warm during the cold winter months. As Dale Manukduk tells us, the nonprofit is hoping that the city will change its mind about wanting them gone.
A month ago, Sam Noel was living in the woods at the edge of the city.
So this is my home. This is. Bro, where's your tent? This is the tent.
Now he's part of a community lending a helping hand at St. James Park, where a tiny village of tiny homes has sprung up.
Tiny homes is all funded through private donations. We don't yet access grants or any money from the government.
5 units line the northwest corner of the park. The first was given away in November.
Oh, it's so nice and clean.
And they've transformed the lives of the people who live in them.
This is my tiny home.
Oh my God.
This is my kitchen.
The first thing I noticed when you open the door is the heat pumping out of here. Brent Blake moved into the middle unit 3 weeks ago. He was found sleeping in a shop doorway.
Right here. Also, I have throat cancer, so it gives me a place to be able to come and be warm, and because the cold's really hard on my throat with the cancer and stuff too.
So your health has improved.
Oh yes, definitely. It gives you a peace of mind. You know, you're not wondering where you're going to go lay down at night and go to sleep, or you have somewhere to go. It might be called a tiny home, but it's a home. It's my home. We have running water. Oh, we have electrical for the phone and everything.
The homes are meant to be a temporary solution until residents can find permanent housing. Despite all the good the homes are doing for the people living in them, the city wants them gone. Last week, it issued a cease and desist, writing the city demands tiny homes immediately cease the installation and supply of these structures and that they be removed from city property.
It's well-intentioned, but that's not the way we function in the city. I mean, people can then be allowed to put a car on the park ground or any structure that they choose. We have bylaws that, we must all abide by, including myself as a local councillor.
The action shocked founder Ryan Donay, who says 2 weeks prior he had met with the city's encampment officials, pitching the idea of moving the unit to an unused piece of city-owned land, leaving the meeting hopeful.
I'm a dog owner. I want my parks back as well, and nobody should be living in the parks. 100% they are within their rights to put a cease and desist. I'm in agreement with that. I'm not in agreement with the language of the cease and desist. We didn't erect these. They're not structures. They're very mobile.
Tiny Homes has responded to the city, noting that in 2023 it declared homelessness an emergency, yet today it is still turning away hundreds of people every night from the shelter system.
We've got something that we can be proud of as citizens of Toronto, and if we're not taking care of our own, what are we doing?
The nonprofit organization has launched an online petition demanding the city collaborate with Tiny Homes instead of pursuing enforcement. It's generated over 10,000 signatures in one day. Tiny Homes has responded to the city by its stated deadline of Valentine's Day. It says it has ceased further construction and is hoping that the city will show them some love. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
As crews clean up today after the biggest snowstorm of the winter so far, it's also exactly 2 weeks until voters head to the polls to elect Ontario's next government. Lane Harrison went out to see how bad weather could impact voting day in this rare snap winter election.
Rain or shine, snow or sun, I'm going.
Some voters like Nick Goontz say weather won't impact their plans come February 27th. For him, there's one simple reason to go to the polls.
I am very, very, very annoyed at the provincial government.
And he's not the only one determined to get out there despite the snow.
It's still important to go out and get that vote in so that you get, hopefully who you want in.
Oh yeah, any weather. Yeah, it's our duty.
Weather that might slow people down is more likely this election, after Doug Ford decided it should happen mid-winter instead of early summer 2026. Experts say snow like this could play a role.
And the cost of voting is always kind of going to be dependent upon things like traffic and distance to the polling station and weather, right? Amongst other things. And we do know that when costs of voting kind of go up, technically, that these people aren't going to be as interested necessarily in going to the polls.
A winter election in Ontario is rare, but not totally unprecedented. The day this campaign was launched, Elections Ontario told us the last time there was a true province-wide winter election was 1883. And get this, it was also on February 27th. But looking outside the province, we can find a few more recent examples.
Last February, a provincial by-election in PEI was delayed multiple days by snow. And the same thing happened in the 2020 Saskatoon municipal election, though that took place in November.
We're building contingencies. It really depends on the severity of the weather.
Elections Ontario wouldn't get into specifics on what a snowstorm could mean for voting, but say there are many options for people to vote early if weather is a concern. People can vote now at their local election offices, apply for mail-in voting until the 21st, or go to advanced polling locations from the 20th to 22nd. And there is home and hospital voting available for those who need it. Opposition leaders on the campaign say they aren't too worried and stayed on message.
I'm just hearing, that people are ready for a change. They don't understand why we're in an election.
I think that Doug Ford called a snap election in the middle of the winter, hoping that people wouldn't get to the polls. But you know what I'm hearing as I go around the province of Ontario is people are not going to stand for it.
Lane Harrison, CBC News, Toronto.
All the main party leaders are getting ready for the Northern debate tomorrow. Now, a big issue that is expected to come up is healthcare. Queen's Park reporter Lorena Redekop is heading to North Bay and has more.
Laurie and James Kendrick spent the night at this Sudbury hotel, here for his specialist appointment, a trek they make every 4 to 6 weeks, driving 4 hours from Sault Ste. Marie. She's also a caregiver for her elderly father, who lost his family doctor.
I know everything is tariffs, tariffs, tariffs. President Trump is going to do what he wants to do. And the tariffs will come, the tariffs will go eventually. But I don't want the healthcare system to be lost in the shuffle.
Northerners do receive money for expenses, but it's a big time commitment. There's traveling time for doctors, too. Some visit locations across the region. This physician says people across Ontario need to take notice of the healthcare situation here.
What's happening in the north is coming south. The acute physician shortage, the challenges in accessing care, the emergency department closures, this is coming towards you. If we can't fix it in the small zone that is the north of this province, there's no hope of us fixing it for the south.
Many family doctors in the region also do shifts in the ER and see the issues there too.
Staffing is always on a razor's edge, where if we lose just 1 or 2 core staff members, the house of cards starts to crumble. And so it's very stressful, high stakes, and it's certainly a lot of pressure.
To the healthcare promises from politicians, the Liberals say they'll find everyone a family doctor in 4 years, making healthcare challenges their #1 issue.
They're even more acute in the northern communities, where fewer doctors are residing, and we're going to incentivize them to move up there.
The NDP leader visited the North last week, promising to connect every Ontarian to primary care. Today, releasing her Northern platform.
350 doctors for Northern Ontario. And we're going to establish a Northern Command Center to manage the healthcare worker capacity all across the North. Because it's time.
The Green Party leader announced healthcare, not highways, committing to canceling plans for Highway 413 to spend on healthcare and connect everyone to primary care in 3 to 4 years. 2 days before the campaign kicked off, the PC government announced their healthcare strategy, following criticism that they didn't do enough over 7 years in power, pledging to connect everyone to primary care over 4 years. Laurie Kendrick has voted PC in the past, but is frustrated with them and doesn't know who she'll vote for.
I just don't have a lot of faith fully in the plans. So I will probably be deciding closer to the time.
The Northern debate tomorrow could help with that decision. Lorena Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. The NDP is asking the province's Integrity Commissioner to look into a video from Doug Ford's trip to Washington. The half-minute video includes clips from the trip and features narration from Ford. It also included the Ontario PC logo and Ford's campaign slogan, Protect Ontario. Ontario's Integrity Commissioner cleared the PC leader to go to Washington during the campaign period to push back against President Trump's tariff threats and not for partisan purposes. But NDP leader Marit Stiles says the video crossed that line. She's accusing Ford of using his taxpayer-funded trip for partisan purposes and should be held accountable. The original video was deleted shortly after Stiles' post, and an edited version with the PC logo and slogan removed was reposted. A spokesperson for Ford's campaign said the video was edited out of an abundance of caution. The across-the-board 25% tariffs that Trump has promised are on pause until next month. But if and when it happens, they will have a profound and cascading effect on our economy. Chris Glover looks at how the threatened tariffs could affect Ontario's greenhouse-grown vegetable industry.
Cucumbers, peppers, tomatoes, buy any of that here in Toronto or across the United States, and there's a good chance it's grown in southwestern Ontario. That's because the province has the largest concentration of greenhouse-grown vegetables in North America. The entire country's slice of the industry is worth $1.8 billion in sales annually, and $1.6 billion of that is from Ontario farmers. In Ontario alone, more than 505 million kilos of veggies are produced annually. 430 million of that is sent to the U.S.
The 25% tariff will add additional costs to the end consumers. The supply chain cannot absorb those additional costs, and those additional costs ultimately threaten the affordability of food.
The most likely scenario with 25% tariffs on Canadian greenhouse products going to the States is splitting the added cost between the Ontario grower and the U.S. retailer, a negotiation that could see a cost sharing of about half a side.
Could you imagine any sector that has a 10 or 15 or much less a 25% margin built into the cost of production? It's just not plausible.
Failing to be able to absorb those added costs could be an industry killer. An estimated 29,000 jobs of the total 35,000 that exist in Ontario's greenhouse sector would likely be in jeopardy. But unlike other industries that would see an impact from tariffs within 24 hours due to purchase orders that are made a couple weeks out, the devastation on the greenhouse sector would take time. Up to 4 weeks before produce contracts to the states start getting canceled, and up to 8 weeks for layoffs to start.
I don't think we'll see immediate impact. I think we'll be able to sustain that trade, and the demand will stay at a suitable level for the short term, but any prolonged tariffs will have detrimental consequences to our sector.
That's also when we'd start to see epic amounts of food waste. Remember that 430 million kilos of greenhouse produce that goes from Ontario to the States each year? Well, unlike auto parts or washing machines that can sit on shelves, veggies will rot. Last year, 2.6 million kilos of oversupply produced in Ontario greenhouses was donated to increasingly hungry food banks. But those services can't possibly absorb the produce sent to the States each year. And Canada has traditionally chosen the U.S. as its produce buyer for a reason. Ontario vegetables can service up to 58% of the U.S. market within a day's drive. And given how much smaller Canada's population is, it's just not realistic to think we could redirect those trucks across our country.
Our population base just could not consume the amount of produce that we grow here in Ontario.
All of it leaving Ontario greenhouse producers with a potential existential threat. And that doesn't even include U.S. grown food coming into Canada that shoppers here might have to start living without.
Taking another look at all the snow day fun from today. And if you like snow, you are in luck. More is on the way. Colette will join us with your long-range forecasts after the break. Stay with us. right, Colette is here with a look at the forecast. And Colette, a lot of people must be pretty exhausted from all the shoveling this morning. But you know what? It was really fun to see the kids having so much fun on the toboggan hills.
Yes,
right?
yes. I'm glad
Make the
there are
most of
those.
it.
Yeah, and certainly for ski hills and all these different winter sports. I mean,
it's good news.
And it's not even the end of it because there's going to be more to come there too. But like, the Laurentians and there were over 35 centimeters in many of these areas. So some pretty fantastic snowfall totals. And as you probably know by now, 20 to over 25 centimeters for much of the city in the GTA, this region. So now what do we have? Well, we've got some of that snow blowing around because of the strong winds. So blowing snow advisories in all these areas you see here, including up the Bruce Peninsula. But then on top of that, there are also snow squall watches and the areas in pink, a large area with warnings. We still have some open water. Yes, we do, even though we've had some cold air, and it's enough to drive those snow squalls. So that's something we're looking at. And the other thing I'm keeping my eyes on are what's to come next. So there's the upper level winds. There are the upper level winds kind of showing it system that's been going through, still having an impact right now on Atlantic Canada. But the next one is there off the west coast. That burst of energy is going to bring our system that's going to have kind of a 1-2 punch to it, that being Saturday and Sunday. Yes, I know it is a holiday weekend, and well, there'll be lots of fresh snow for the kids to be playing in here, kids and big kids alike. As we go towards tomorrow morning and finally get those winds starting to ease, that does help with the situation with the squalls. We'll get some sunshine in here, at least kind of a mix of sun and cloud too for the GTA, and then some increasing cloudiness as the day wears on. So becoming more of a situation of just by afternoon some sunny breaks for your Valentine's Day. Cold temperatures too. So some of that cold air tonight is going to freeze things up. So we had a bit of melting with some sunshine today, got some slushy areas. Those will become crusty and icy. Something to be very careful when you're walking the sidewalks or driving on some of those side roads. Into Saturday, so it kind of starts, maybe some flurries first, but essentially Saturday morning, that is that first system coming through, and then the second wave is going to be into Sunday. I don't want to scare anyone, but this, just looking ahead, these aren't going to be as accurate because it's still a few days off here, but snowfall potential, that area north of the GTA all the way into southern Quebec, some extreme totals. When you put the 2 days together, yes, a large area may see over 30 or potentially even over 40 centimeters of fresh snow between Saturday and Sunday. Overnight temperatures tonight, this is what I mean by a cold night factor in those winds. It's going to feel almost like -20 for Toronto, so a very chilly start tomorrow.
That's what it is. Thanks so much, Colette. And that's all the time we have tonight. Thanks for watching.